The secret of the great stories is that they have no secrets. The great stories are the ones you have heard and want to hear again. The ones you can enter anywhere and inhabit comfortably. They don't deceive you with thrills and trick endings. They don't surprise you with the unforeseen. They are as familiar as the house you live in or the smell of your lover's skin. You know how they end, yet you listen as though you don't. In the way that although you know that one day you will die, you live as though you won't. In the great stories, you know who lives, who dies, who finds love, who doesn't, and yet you want to know again. That is their mystery and their magic. Arundhati Roy's observation from her novel, The God of Small Things, resonates still. This, my friends, is a season of stories. Stories of kindness and of unexpected joy and gifts, and then there's a difference between gifts and true gifts, and miracles, and all of those populate whatever media feed we tap into this season, be it the newspaper, the Facebooks, or whatever streaming service is your cup of tea. We reread the storybooks to children that we once read with a familiar rhyme and tempo because the stockings were hung by the chimney with care. St. Nicholas soon would be there. Y'all are real good. I was really worried you'd leave me hanging. Well done, 9 a.m.ers. We tell stories of the season over the dinner table with one another, our tales of finding that perfect tree, or purchasing or receiving certain gifts, or the ubiquitous commentary on the busyness of this time of the year. We spend our extra energy ensuring that Mary and Gabriel's costumes fit them and hope that no one throws up during the pageant. We get so caught up in the plot narrative of Christmas that sometimes we miss the great story. The story we've heard so often that we tend to forget its radical message. The story which sometimes feels overtold by the actual night of Christmas. And yet, as soon as that discordant chord in O Come All Ye Faithful echoes among strangers gathered together, word of the Father now in flesh appearing, we crave hearing the story once again. And it is the gift of the season of Christmas, that season that begins on Christmas Eve amid the chaos of stars and choirs of angels, and extends until the visit of the Magi on Epiphany, that we once again get to hear the story of who we are, of what we are, of why we are, our great story. Today's Gospel of John isn't about confused shepherds visiting an infant child. It doesn't concern itself with whether Jesus was born in an inn or in a guest room, which is a verified topic of energetic conversation among your clergy, by the way. It does not involve stars or heavenly hosts. Not one miraculous birth occurs. John's gospel eschews plot for message. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is the beginning of our great story. That the Word became flesh and moved into the neighborhood, as the interpretation, the message, tells us. That in the beginning, we were not alone. That in the beginning, we were loved. That in the beginning, we at our core were made for something more than plot twists and thrill rides. We are grafted into the great meta story of incarnate love and accompaniment. God became human and lived right here, right now, among us. Those same myriad sources of all that holiday feel-good personal interest stories and curated photos of lit tree and piles of presents and holiday cheer, those same sources will inevitably tire of hope and populate any and all of those same streams with fear and disappointment and distress. And they will do it just as quickly as many of our Christmas trees are deconstructed and set out on the curb by the evening of December 26th. There is more than enough to worry about, more than enough ways to be reminded every moment of every single day of every single one of them. And sometimes it feels that joy, along with eggnog, is a seasonal product. Which is why, if we focus only on the nativity narrative and not the arc of God's presence, we too will discover that the incarnation is nothing more than a Hallmark movie, essentially interchangeable with any other of the Hallmark movies, provoking a sentimentality which satiates rather than love which empowers and frees us. It will become time-bound, expiring just as soon as another trend or upcoming holiday ripe for purchase power moves in. There are the stories that we hear over and over and over again and tire of, either because they are well-worn and overtrod, or because they are plot-driven only. Their primary value is getting from one place to the other as quickly and as efficiently as possible. But the story of being loved so much by the God of eternity, the God who was and is to come, the God who was before all things and beyond all of our endings, the God who chose to limit God's self by descending into humanity and adopting us and our plot-obsessed, squirrel-like, Christmas lobster shilling, very small attention spans, simply because of love, because of hope, of a deep belief in us, in our prospect of our redemption. Friends, this is a story that we could listen to all day and every day. And this is the story we continue to tell, even as our garlands are down. And the story is this: from the beginning, you were loved. From the deepest part of God, you each were created. From the one who was before time and will be beyond time, God is present here, now in this room, outside in the traffic, waiting for the bus, because that is the God who authors our great story together. The one tale our hearts and souls long to hear as many times as we can stand, schmaltz aside. The story that love indeed is everywhere, because God indeed is now part of this strange and human existence. May we, even as the world closes down their Christmas hopes for the year, tucks them away in sterile-like bins and stores them in the attic, all those hopes that are now on 50% clearance, mere pennies on the dollar, for what you would have paid for them December 23rd. May we never tire of this story. May we continue to sense its mystery and magic, even as we can recite along with 2,000 years of Christians just as well as we can recite along the night before Christmas. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Amen.
Amen.